what you want is actually very, very different from what you need as a person, right? So what you want is your desires, things that you actually want to be around you. But what you need is what your soul needs, what your life needs, what your life needs to be able to be put together, what your life needs to be able to move forward more, more efficiently, more efficiently. So what you need and what you want is they are very, very two different things. And you reach a stage in your life that if you don't actually make the difference, if you don't actually try to put like thin line between those two differences, you will actually be confusing them, and your life will be much more slower in the long run because you will not be progressing the way you expect. Because once maybe you get in possession of money, you start spending it on what you want, and what you want, those are just like those are just dopamine, like they're just pleasures that are just they don't last. They just come. Once you get what you want, maybe you spend it, you chill for that moment, you feel good for that moment, but it doesn't last. But what you need is actually what helps you progress. Actually, it's what helps you take one step at a time in life. So it actually puts you ahead of everyone else that is actually doing what they want. Even me, I used to struggle with this thing a lot. I've been finding ways to actually differentiate what I want versus what I need, and it's actually hard. You have to be very, very disciplined if you want to actually differentiate it. You have to be very, very disciplined to be able to have the guts to stand up to what you need rather than what you want, because what you want actually is that desire is always more than what you need. That desire is always more than there. So you always feel like, okay, you should do what you want. So what you need will later, like we come later. But in the truth of the matter is like your life keeps getting slower, and you don't even know why your life keeps getting slower. But your life will be like just moving very, very slow, and you'll be wondering why people are progressing way more faster than you are. That's because they are doing something different, and they are paying more attention to their lives. They are paying more attention to their lives while you are not paying attention to your life. You are doing things for pleasure rather than things that will make you grow as a person in life. So I started doing this thing recently. I won't lie, because before I used to be very, very nonchalant about what I want versus what I need. I would be going more for what I want. Like once I just see something, I want it. Maybe if I'm scrolling online and I see a nice meal online, I'll just say, okay, I want this meal right now, and I'll now enter the market. I'll spend money and start making the meal. Not knowing that that's not even what I need. No, don't get it wrong. Actually, it's good to also treat yourself, but there's a like time for everything. There's a time for everything. You should choose the things that matter more right now. That's in itself. That's also part of considering what you need rather than what you want. So being this year, I told myself that I'm going to like start doing what I need rather than what I want to, because I want my life to be more meaningful this year. I want my life to have more meaning this year. I want to start doing things that will make my future self better. Because your future self is actually dependent on what you do right now as a young person in his 20s. So if you are actually striving to be a successful young guy, or if you want to be a successful man later in maybe your 40s or your 30s, it depends on what you do right now in your 20s, when you're actually having the energy and strong and everything, because life is going to slow you down at some point because of health and all those other complications and everything. So what matters is what you do right now. So you choosing what you need right now is the blueprint to how your life will be in future. So actually start doing that, start working on that right now. It's never too late. It's never too late, because being able to differentiate between those two is a start to a better life. It's a start to a more meaningful life. Because if you cannot differentiate between that, you keep going in circles. You'll not be going forward. You keep going in circles. You keep going in circles. And this life is too short for it to be going in circles. This life, we're here to live for a purpose. That's why my last video I made a video about how to find your purpose as a man. Every man has a purpose, and once you discover that purpose, you start doing what that purpose needs. You start doing what that purpose needs for it to be, flourished, for it to be able to move forward. So this was all about the video I just wanted to make today, and I hope it helped you. You got something from it. If you did, please subscribe and like the video. I'll see you guys in the next video.